I wanted to become a farmer because I grew up here on this farm and I love the farm. I love this land as if it's another family member. And I also wanted a job where I got to work outside.
So I became a farmer because I enjoy working outdoors.
What I love about farming is that every time I go out to the field to harvest something, it's exciting to see what I planted, what I grew, and how it could taste.
We're outside all summer long, all spring, all fall. We get to enjoy beautiful days like today.
In the summertime, our work hours are from around 7 a.m. until around 7 p.m. But there's some things about farming that make consistent work hours difficult. Really, we have to work whenever the weather says we have to work.
I'm actually not an early person, so we actually start the day at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I much more prefer working in the evening, so I'll stay late. But 8 o'clock is when we start, and so I get up at like 7 o'clock.
My normal day starts around 7:30. Always have to take care of the chickens though. So I'm here every day, no matter what, making sure that they're fed and all the eggs are collected and all the crops are cared for.
Part of my day is the pressure of running the farm. It's a business, and so there's a lot of things that can happen. Whether we need rain and it's not raining, or we've had too much rain.
So the worst part of my day are when things go wrong. If all the chickens get out and I can't get them back in, then that can be kind of a struggle. Also, if we pull out a crop and it's a failure, which happens all the time, that doesn't feel too good either.
So I became a farmer by actually interning on different farms. I interned for 4 years on a farm in Lambertville called North Slope Farm.
So I learned how to farm by actually going on a farm and trying it out. And that's what I recommend to see if you want to become a farmer. So get out in the field, plant something, and see if you like it.
The best way to learn about whether you love doing it is to work on a farm.
And you learn, how I learn the best is hands-on. And so you learn by actually doing all aspects of farming, driving tractors, planting, hoeing.
Good to take classes in college level if you can on crop science, go to farming conferences, and talking to your local farmer.
For the most part, we try to keep on growing stuff as long as we can. Many crops that are leafy green will grow throughout cold weather, so we keep on trying to grow them.
So in the wintertime, I don't do anything anymore. I used to get a job to try to make some extra money, but we've been doing this long enough that we don't really need to do that. We start in March, the beginning of March, we end Thanksgiving, so there's really only 3 months. March to Thanksgiving is 7 days a week, and so I don't take any days off until the winter time. So I catch up with my family, my friends.
So Swiss chard is a crop that's really great to grow in New Jersey because we have a very long season for it. You can plant it very early in the spring, you can plant it through the summer and through the fall, and it will just keep on going and producing. We can even get it to keep on growing through the winter time in a hoop house or some kind of structure to keep it a little bit more warm.
So we grow Swiss chard pretty much all year long. It's a very versatile crop. It does well in the cool weather, it does well in the summer.
So Swiss chard does have some difficulties in growing it. There are lots of bugs and mammals like rabbits and groundhogs that also like to eat Swiss chard just as much as we do.
So we normally grow 4 beds of Swiss chard, which are 250 feet long. So it's like 1,000 feet of Swiss chard. And we started in the greenhouse with seeds in flats, and then we bring it out here when it's about this tall, and plant it. And then about a month later, the leaves get big and it's ready to start picking.
So we both grow Swiss chard by putting the seeds right into the ground with a seeder, and sometimes we'll grow it in the greenhouse by making little transplants of it. So we'll put one seed at a time into a flat in the greenhouse and then transplant them into the soil after they've gotten to be a certain size.
Swiss chard is ready to pick as soon as the leaves are big. Big enough that you want to pick them. You can pick them small, you can pick them big.
So chard is ready to harvest when it's big enough. And we grow chard for 2 different types of harvesting. One is where we're harvesting the leaves and bunching them together. So when we harvest the leaves, we just use our hands and snap them off. And these, even though I just harvested them, would be really too small for harvesting it that way. These leaves get huge, huge. So we would harvest them when they're this big and then bunch them up with a rubber band. Swiss chard has kind of a salty flavor.
I think you can eat it raw, but it's more a vegetable I think that you want to cook. It's a little bitter when you eat it raw. It's not really meant for salads.
Eat some of the stem especially, you can taste that it's pretty salty and has a lot of its own delicious savory flavor, so not very sweet but savory. And the leaf, especially when tiny, is very mild, and it's a lot like spinach in flavor.
I like it with other things, maybe as a side dish or something. You wouldn't really eat Swiss chard as a meal.
It is chopped up and sautéed with onions and cherry tomatoes and put inside an omelet with cheddar cheese. That's my favorite way to eat chard.
The weirdest way I ever ate Swiss chard was a friend of mine used to make Swiss chard bundles, they were called. And she would roll the Swiss chard up and put, I forget what she put in the middle of it, but they were like little bite-sized appetizers made out of Swiss chard, and they were good.
And the weirdest way I've ever eaten chard was in a chard popsicle. It was pretty good.
Swiss chard's really good for you. The more you eat, it is obviously going to make your body feel better, and I think make you feel healthier and give you energy.
Proud to eat it because we know how much work went into it and that we did a good job growing it. And we are also really happy to know that it didn't have anything that would hurt us or the land around us used to grow it. We grow organically on our farm, so it means that there aren't harsh chemicals used in the production of the food. And it does mean that we can pick our Swiss chard right from the field and put it right in our mouth and know that we're not eating anything that's bad for us.